I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin. Trackdigits full walkthrough. What it's all about, the platform, what it looks like. I'm here today joined by Rick, and then we are streaming this live into the Digits Club. Step by step, I'll walk you through the platform, what it's about, how to actually use it, because there are some complex features. And then link in this description of this video will give you a free account to Trackdigits while it's in alpha. We're building this platform with the users, taking in all the feedback. We're almost up to the milestone of 100 users in just 4 days. So I'm extremely happy. And what we're going to do is start a little screen share and basically dive into it straight away. I got the overview right here. Let me just grab the chat box so in case somebody sends anything, I can see it. Right, perfect. So I have a random project here. We're going to pull up a different project. There are 250 projects, a little bit more, I think, right now in the database, which is 4 times more than the second biggest platform that has some similarities to ours. But let's go. What was an interesting token? I did the outer ring the other day, right? So let me pull that up. So basically, you have a full navigation here at the top, right? The dashboard, which will come soon, will have basically a widget overview. The calendar I will showcase on this call as a new feature to be released next week or the week after. Smart alerts we have ready, but I'm not going to show you yet. And then the tracker will be down the line in the next coming 3 months. There's a big feedback button that takes you to ticket submission form where you can attach screenshots, any feedback you have, suggestions. Then the search bar to search and browse the database. You can change the language from English to Russian if you speak Russian, but I'll just keep it on English if you don't mind. There's a full live help desk, notifications for the smart alerts later. There's a light mode and a dark mode. I like to work in dark mode. It's definitely optimized on dark mode as well. And then a profile section where you find your email, your password, etc. All right. Then we have the project. Oh, damn, what just happened? Am I logged out?
No, you're not. We're still
Can you hear me? It says screen
yeah,
share paused. Okay, there we go. That was strange.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, very strange. The Zoom just said I was logged out, but apparently I'm still logged in. All good. The project overview, right? Some easy navigation tools. When these pages become bigger, you can use this to quickly hop to the right section of what you want to look at. We have the project name, the icon, the ticker, the current price on the market, the 24-hour change, the chain, the contract address, obviously, and then some easy navigation ones. I think the most important ones are website and white paper, but if you need anything else, all the sources that we could find, we've added here for you to explore. Important, if you see this marker, it basically means that the circulating supply is not confirmed on chain, nor verified by the data provider, which is quite important because then the circulating supply is submitted by the project. There's obviously a quick rundown of the project in terms of volume, what it's about, etc. Description is different for every project. Most importantly, the upcoming releases, right, in chronological order. So basically the next vesting releases for this project. This might be every 30 days, might be every month, depends on how they structure the tokenomics. And you can break this down. So basically they're going to release just over 250,000 tokens at a time with an average value here of $1 million, right? 94% weighted average investor ROI return, which is obviously quite significant. This is the first significant indicator that you can use to judge a project release. Circulating supply of 6.65% relative, so the tokens relative to the circulating supply, and then the daily trading volume, the amount of value relative to the daily trading volume. When you break this down, which is the most interesting part, you can basically see that there was no pre-seed pricing sourced. It was not provided by the project, but on the seed, for example, 300, so this is not that significant because it's only 66K, but here it's 623K out of the 1 million and 315K out of the 1 million. So we're talking 950 grand almost out of the 1 million has a significant return. In the current market conditions, again, this tool only provides indicators. You would have to formulate your opinion yourself and then take action on that if you want to. My personal opinion on this is if I were an investor in the seed round with 165% ROI, I'm going to fucking dump my tokens, right? Because I'm going to liquidate for the profit. then when we look at the total sum of pressure that can enter the market, it's 80% of the average daily traded volume, right? Current traded volume. So is it likely or unlikely that it can absorb this supply shock? It's unlikely, right? Which is another indicator that if these guys are going to dump, the current traded volume cannot absorb this, because then it would have to be a lot lower, right? This amount. Yeah, it's likely that the price will move down, right? So if you're going to enter, you might want to enter after the vesting release. If you're one of these investors, then you're likely to want to dump your tokens as soon as possible. If you are, if this is on a centralized exchange, which I don't think it is, then it might be a good indicator to short this token, right? If you have all the indicators lined up, that the price will move down. For example, here, there's only pre-seed and advisors here as well. So then you can see the amount is a lot less and the impact is a lot less significant. So these are basically the metrics that we showed during the alpha version, which are already these three primarily. I think this one is also relatively important, of course, the value. But these three indicators right here will give you insights in a potential judgment on the forecast of what the market can do, and then a variety of different actions as an investor and or trader, depending on your situation, if you invested or not, what you can do with this information, right? And then the tracking is right now locked because we would need the tracker to become fully active to use this feature. Then the tokenomics, well, I don't think I need to display that much. What's pretty cool about Trackdigits is just for overall comparison purposes is that we've standardized the tokenomics. So some companies might call the treasury, treasury asset, rewards, community rewards, or any type of rewards that they have. So the tokenomics, when you compare them to the white paper, there might not always be a one-on-one match, because we've standardized them, because we're building more advanced features where we basically layer all the projects in the database based on their tokenomics, and we can judge if this is market standard or if they are a little bit cash grabby or whatever, right? This team is taking only 2%. If the team on average, which we know takes 20% and the advice is 5%, then this is a very good indicator. So one of the features, big features, which we will include for all of the assets, whether it comes to tokens, NFTs, overall judgment of a project, is risk score analysis. So we can never give an indicator, you can buy this project or you can do this with the project, because that's all financial advice, right? But what the platform can do is show you the risk. And the risk is measured on and off chain against hundreds of different data points, which no human can basically populate themselves. One of the assets here, for example, is the tokenomics. So each of the features would get a risk score, and that will populate an overall risk score, which is then relatively tracked against price movement and social media relative engagement. It's massive. I don't want to go into much detail. I want to focus on how the project is right now during the first release of the alpha. And there will be several additions in the coming weeks and months to this platform. And during the entire alpha season, it's free to use while we take in all the user feedback, which even in the first couple of days has already been extremely helpful. We have a vesting graph, right, which basically has a day-by-day focus with the years and a full spread on when the tokens are being released on which category. Gives you basically very clear insights on where the opportunities are. So when it reaches near dilution, like right here, you will see relatively less price impact on future releases, whether here in the beginning, which is already past event, in these first, let's say, 12-ish months, there is significant price impact by so many tokens being brought on the market. If there's obviously no significant demand, because most of these games and or platforms are not having any strong utility in the token, this is a clear signal that the price could move down, right? Therefore, we track price movement. So this has gotten literally in like the first or second day, a huge update already to make it easier to read, because this is quite difficult information to read. That's obviously why I'm going to explain it to you. We start with the vesting date. So these are all historic patterns. These are indicators of past events that you can analyze to see how the market moves based on vesting releases, taking into consideration the current moment in time and the sentiment at that time, which you can read from the table, in addition to the average pattern of how the token behaves or how the investors behave. So it depends obviously on the categories being released. So there were more categories being released earlier, however, not a more significant amount of tokens. So the most significant amount of tokens released was February 3rd, just a couple of days ago. If there are black fields here, it means that the tool goes back until a certain point where we activated the database. So these points are uncaptured. If it shows here, it just means that the timer hasn't expired. So how this works is on the 0 hour, which is basically the release point. The release point is measured in UTC relative to the day of the vesting. If there's a date and time provided by the project, we'll take that. Otherwise, it takes noon UTC as the benchmark. The price is being captured, right? As you can see, the different prices of the different moments in time. And then you can see the relative price movement of the price at that time relative to this price, not to the market price, that price relative to this price. Why? Because ultimately, what happens if investors know that the token is going to come on the market, more tokens, right? What actions do they take? What actions do they take after it's been vested? Most important, specifically these 3 periods. And what actions do they take beforehand? Do they long, do they short, do they buy more, do they sell more? Depends on what's going on, right? Clear indicators are, this only has 4 releases. Some of these projects already have, because we added them into our test database when we started Trackdigits like July last year, they already have 14 of 16 measured price movement. Of course, you can read this table, you can get some insights, but the most easy thing is to click here and you get a very, very clear indication because it's going to layer all of the specific releases and standardize the average. What that means is it will make the chart extremely easy to read based on the average pattern, right? Average price movement. So basically, before the release, tokens are always being sold. So if you would want to buy into this project, it's the best indicator to buy 24 hours before the vesting release. If you then would want to sell it, the best time to sell it is 12 hours after the vesting release. Your gain will be a little bit insignificant on average, right? But just know during that period, there is a hard dump after 72 hours. Is that always the case? No, not really. Do take into consideration it's an average. So it's 1% up, 0.5% up, 5% up, and then 20% down. So that's why it's important to still read the table, because that 20% is basically pulling this average down by a lot, right? It's important. This is not a weighted average. It's a period standardized average. And then obviously where development continues on the platform, these features will become more data sensitive and more advanced metrics can be pulled in terms of, more significant data, scatter patterns. This doesn't mean that much right now if you're not into analytics, but it will give you more deep insights in the information. And then you have your regular tokenomics at the bottom, which is basically the main overview to have a good understanding. How much money has this project raised? What is the market cap if you check it on the market? How many tokens were being released? What's the average ROI of an investor? Some of these projects like this one is still really good. On average, it's up 75%-ish. Some projects are down 99%, right? When I say some, I would say the majority, specifically the smaller cap cryptos, right? That's normal. What does an investor do at that point? Do they dump the token still in a 99% loss? Do they keep it? How does that work? This tool will basically give you the insights. So whether you are an investor yourself in a project, whether you're looking for trading opportunities, whether you're looking to check the sentiment of the holders, whether you're looking to track the sentiment of the price impact on the market when these releases happens, all of these different use cases you can utilize, right? The majority at the moment is investors in projects looking to either acquire short or long opportunities as traders, or the most often used one is investors of these projects looking to see when to sell their tokens. Basically, the advisors, I think, is specifically interesting if they have big VCs and one of these board members of these VCs joins the advisory, these projects, the big projects, have launched a year and a half ago. All of the investor vesting is done, or maybe only pre-seed and seed left. And then the advisors are getting a big chunk, but these advisors in the current market are likely going to dump. And those dumps are going to be done at once, right? Or they would go through a market maker and have like a linear downward trend. But if you then have a short opportunity there, you can really forecast your potential buy entry based on those indicators. So that's definitely useful, insightful, right? So a tremendous amount of insights. And this little summary turned into a little bit of a rant, but this little summary giving you a tremendous amount of insight opportunities just on the base features that are provided to you right now, right? And then, as I mentioned before, in the next week or so, we'll release the calendar. The smart alerts are ready to be released. We just are going to drip the features so we can take in the right amount of feedback. And then the tracker will be a big one. The dashboard is being finished up. So definitely over the next 6 to 8 weeks, at least 2 extensions of the alpha. And then the major smart alerts and the trackers will be coming, let's say, which quarter are we in? Yeah, the start of Q2. This one probably the start of Q3. The smart alerts allowing you to segment the database. You can basically say, I want to be notified when a project releases more than 100% average investment ROI. That's the base, or with a minimum value of 1 million, or with this. So you can basically stack your criteria and then receive notifications based on that. So you don't have to browse the database yourself if you don't want to. But of course, you can if you just want to browse around and see what kind of opportunities there are. If you are browsing a token and for whatever reason it's not in the database, use the feedback form or go on the Discord server, submit a ticket. And then so far, we've been able to add every requested project in under 24 hours. When the queue becomes bigger, we basically keep your ticket open and then we reply you once it's been added, and we'll provide you the link for convenience purposes. And you can basically go through that. I have one thing right here, which you guys cannot see, but I can see. But I will just ask, are there any questions before I show you some alpha about the alpha? If there are any questions, feel free to send it over on the chat.
It's not a question, but a good comment. Adding a % of total supply can be great.
Yeah, we had the percentage of total supply before, but relative to the circulating supply, percentage of total supply is only interesting in terms of dilution. And we're providing that metric in the feature that I'm going to show you in a second. So we're providing that information somewhere else. And relative to price impact, the amount of total supply is only relevant for the long term, not on the initial release. On the initial release, the indicator that matters is the circulating supply, because those two have a direct impact on each other and will move the price. The total supply is only an indicator for the long term of the project and not the actual release itself. But yeah, it's definitely a good metric. We took that into consideration. It was here before. We did have it here before, but then we moved it to basically a global upcoming list, because this is the upcoming releases per this project. But obviously, it would be great to have it like this. So this is the dev server, something you guys cannot access, but I can. So I just thought, let me show you guys this. This is a draft, right? It's not done. This is not what it would look like. It will look similar to this, but you can see it says Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin is not real. It's also only design. There's no logic behind it. But what you can see is percentage of circulating supply, boom, and look at this. So you can basically find the metrics here on how far it has been diluted, what the total supply is, the circulating supply, how much is still locked. You can basically see the same for the value right there. When the next unlock happens, so these setups might change a little bit depending on what we feel like is the best experience. And then basically you would have a complete list. You can filter, show next 10, show next 20, show next 50, in chronological order, the earliest one at the top, when these releases are going to occur. And then you also have that on a full calendar. If you like to play around with calendars, right, you can use that. The reason we added a calendar, because it will connect later with the tracker, right? The upcoming list for my personal usage would be sufficient, right? But the calendar will give you a clear overview of the releases. Does this work? No, not yet. We discussed it today, actually. And in the future, these things will then be integrated with other features, which makes it basically Trackdigits on steroids when all of these features connect with one another. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your feedback in the chat. I also think this is something that is tremendously insightful, and that's why we're building it ultimately. And the reason why is because of the ease of use, right? I mean, I spend 12, 14 hours a day in the crypto space every day. Of course, we do a lot of different things, but browsing tokens, looking for projects, it always costs a lot of time. And if these tools optimize our time and give us insights based on work that no human could possibly do, because there's just too many scattered data points. If I did an analysis on ApeCoin the other day, right? And I did that in Excel, the old school way, but I used Trackdigits as a foundation in terms of the releases, the tokens, etc. As you can see, we have all the information right here. Unfortunately, these tokenomics are very easy, right? They're not as complex. There are only a certain amount of categories. But still, I did it relative to a staking pool, right? So definitely Trackdigits is not focused on DeFi. It's definitely focused on tokenomics investing and then on price movement and risk indicators, right? So that would be interesting. But the DeFi component, it took me like 3 hours to dial in these staking pools, was absolute nightmare. And then I Googled for some calculators. There's no real ones there. The API is not possible. So I was like, let me do it in Excel. I broke it down. It took me 3 hours. I was very happy with the results. But can you imagine? I've been doing this for years. If you don't know how to do that, you're going to waste like 10, 12 hours on trying to see a return. Nobody's going to be bothered, right? So these tools definitely make everything a lot more efficient in life. Will it be possible to create a portfolio, e.g. the funds you hold, so I can easily see when the tokens on hold will be released? Yes, Stony, but that will fall under the tracker feature. The tracker here will be definitely very different to what Rick mentioned. It will have on-chain components. It will be tied in with all of the other features. And basically that code base is basically done from scratch. So that will take definitely, I'm considering a timeline of 2 to 6 months because it will be one of the bigger assets. This will be connected to launchpads as well in terms of, claiming tokens and then automatically being added. Whether you sell, it tracks everything. So it's quite a significant feature, huge added value, I think, to the platform. But we want to take the time, test it properly, introduce it slowly. Because definitely this should not be leveraged as a portfolio manager, because it's not. It will definitely focus on your investments that you've made into tokens and your vesting and then your ROI. And that relative ROI, again, measured to other projects that you've invested in, getting the deep insights on then the second layer of data. So your investment is maybe the first layer. And let me pause the screen share for a second. So your investment is the first layer, right? And then your ROI, blah, 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 blah. And then where did it come from? Which launchpads, which rounds, which opportunities? Then we will extend the tool slightly soon. We have had the first discussions. This is not set in stone, but with relative NFT collections. So if you hold NFTs of these projects that we have in a database, do these NFTs in terms of floor price move accurately against the token price? Is it different? Is it distinguished? These things will give you more and more insights whether a project is interesting to invest in long-term, short-term, all of these indicators aligned. Definitely the price movement is catered to short-term analysis right now, but there will also be components involved in like longevity projections. What about adding tokenomics for new projects before investing in new projects? It can help find and assess new projects. So new projects is not something that we have the opportunity to add right now because our validation stage of adding projects to the database requires a contract address. So usually projects that do not have a contract address that are raising funds also don't have fixed tokenomics, right? Don't have fixed prices. And the amount of verification that we go through, right? That's why we have position Trackdigits as the most accurate database. I can show you the flow, how it works, but there's 3 people that need to sign off manually before a token gets added to the database, right? This process is still not perfect, but we have optimized it over the last 20 weeks. It took 20 weeks to optimize this flow, and I'm still not happy. Rick knows this. But it's been improved so much that we have so many tokens in the database, so many more projects than any of the relative comparisons in the market, and the amount of data is a lot bigger. What we cannot do, unfortunately, is change tokenomics, because then our workflow would be mad and we cannot guarantee the quality. So new projects is something that we're definitely looking to do, but likely during the summer or after the summer 2023. So you're looking July, August, we would likely add a component where new projects can have, like, I don't know, sponsorship or whatever. But at that time, you're looking at a consistent base of ongoing projects, because again, tokenomics vesting, yeah, I think it's one of the more interesting opportunities. We just have to see how it fits in, and how it fits in with the current amount of features and tools that we have. Because if it's only for display purposes, readability purposes, then I think it would be a lot easier. But I would like to basically then upload these projects and then assess their risk score immediately based on the tokenomics, based on the social growth, all these metrics. And that's, again, very far from where we're at with the current stage of the project. So basically the alpha, this is something that people might call like an MVP. This is for internal use to show to investors, but we onboarded users already to get the feedback. And definitely Circo, I think that's your name, right? I forgot. I just can see your Zoom name right now, but your feedback has been tremendous, right? So every time you open a ticket, we're straight on it, because we know your added value in terms of, well, we updated the price movement because of you. That took like 3 hours. The devs were on it late at night to get that done, and I appreciate that feedback. And that's also why we onboarded users so early, just to make the project actually fit your expectations in terms of what we can do and what we cannot do. And that was basically a full overview of how this tool actually works in the current stage and what you can expect in like the short, medium term. Ooh, I have the second call with a huge research facility. Should I say something about it? I'm going to say it. On Thursday. So on Thursday is the second call. The owners already signed off. Then it's just a call with the executives, and they basically provide research papers, anywhere from 20-25 pages, very detailed on the token, the technology that they use. The teams are being reviewed, and I'm actually a paid member there as well. But we're going to go into a partnership with them, hopefully on Thursday, to provide their research reports inside Trackdigits for all of the users. So that would be an amazing added feature, because that's one research report a week, and these research reports are extensive, right? So definitely looking to get that going. And then we have a very exciting go-to-market campaign for our marketing department, starting in the next 2 weeks. So that will be a major scale collaborations with other projects on a heavy mode, but also geared to smaller communities with integrations of the Discord bot, etc. So although the community is still quite small in Discord, it will definitely be very lively very soon in terms of, interactions, feedbacks, how the tool works, and just making it a pleasant experience. We're no rush in monetizing this platform, so that's a good thing. Really just want to show it to as many people as possible, get the maximum amount of feedback in. And then obviously we can't be hosting everybody, tens of thousands of users for free. But at some point there will always be a free plan on the pricing. But at some point there has to be some monetization, obviously significant perks to that as well. This will be also a Web 2 monetization. So it's just a credit card subscription. That's how it works. Ease of use for everybody. I think there's a crypto option, but it's like an extension gateway. It's not as user friendly. And that's what I told somebody else, a little off topic the other day. The next company to figure out subscription-based billing on chain, blockchain wise, because we ran through everything. We had calls with the biggest SaaS platforms in Web3. Nobody has done it yet. That would be massive. That's like the next Amazon type thing. Anyway, too off topic. That's how I go. I'm willing to take in more questions if there are any from anybody. but I'm very excited. Everything is looking good. Very good progress is being made. And I'm super pleased to see that we're almost at 100 people. I think we're going to hit that today. And then I'm also very pleased with the amount of very valuable feedback we have received so far. It's been a very good experience. Very good. I'll have a look. All right, if there's no more questions, then I think that's it for today.
Looks like it.
Been quite a good process showcasing everything for the first, if not second time. I've been using it in my YouTube videos, Trackdigits, and it definitely be helping me as well, getting some more insights on how everything is used from a user point of view, because I'm in the tool a lot myself, but then in the video, when you have to explain how everything works and all these steps, it definitely gives you good user experience as well. So I'm happy to say that I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you're not already a member, check the link in the description below. Sign up. Rick, thank you so much for, I don't know, emotional support on this one. It was definitely a good experience. Oh, I think you're frozen. Anyway, thanks for everybody. Am I frozen? Oh, maybe it's my shitty connection. Wrap it up for today. I appreciate you, Rick. I appreciate everybody else. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.